Today I want to switch things up a little bit, bring you guys a little bit more value in more of a long format kind of way. I want to switch something up to be more valuable. As you guys can see, I've kind of been venturing off away from the frequency of my uploads. If I were to continuously post on a consistent level, the quality of what I was doing would start to diminish, right? So I wanted to spread the time out, go get real world experience, come back with some valuable knowledge to give to you guys. And the basic topic of today's video, I basically want to cover is, let's shut the fuck up, keep our heads down, and get to work. There's a lot of things I want to cover in this essentially, but there's just a few couple things. And the first thing I want to kind of cover is if you don't feel like quitting, you may not be going hard enough, okay? And you may honestly ask, okay, why the fuck do you need to feel like why do you need to feel like quitting in order to reassure that you're going hard enough? And there's a lot to go behind that, but the first things I'll say is that if there's no pressure, then there's no growth. Okay, I simply know a lot of people who go to the gym, they eat clean, they do the quote unquote hard things, including myself, and sooner or later those things can all become habitual. And when those things become habitual, that's when you lose the pressure of it, and when you lose the pressure, it becomes kind of easy. Okay, and what I'm getting at here is that you can do the considered to be hard things that the average considers to be hard, because obviously their level of hard is way below yours. You have higher standards and you have a stronger work ethic compared to the average or the other people in your life. So you can kind of get away with doing these hard things, but deep down inside, you don't necessarily have that pressure of it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because the longer you continue to do these things, you lose the pressure, and then you're just kind of doing it easily. It just becomes easy. Like going to the gym, eating clean, and doing all this stuff, it just becomes easy. Okay, and when this happens, you're just simply not going hard enough anymore. And I've experienced this myself. Okay, especially within the gym, workout in general, just me trying to be a productive member of society. I've experienced this myself as well. Okay, for example, like for the past year or year and a half, I've been working 40-hour weeks not every single week, but I've been working 40-hour weeks, just one job, and it's somewhat hard. I mean, but the money is shit, and it's just not hard enough. It just becomes habitual. Yes, you're kind of tired at the end of the week, but you could have put out more, right? That's why I decided to bump my hours to 88 hours a week. And I'm working 2 jobs back to back, 16-hour days, and I'm working on a Saturday. Okay, get more money, put more work out. I become more of a productive member, mostly for myself, not necessarily society, because I'm not really putting out anything. But yeah, almost every single day I feel like crying, I feel like quitting, and that's just simply a sign that I'm operating a few levels above my comfort level. And whatever you're doing, if you don't feel like quitting and you don't feel like it's hard, then it's definitely time to just step harder on the gas or get another vehicle to operate at the same time. And yes, it's going to be hard to try to drive 2 cars at the same time, but you can figure it out. You can build the systems around it, and you can always put in more work, and you just know yourself, right? Simple as that. But it's simply just time to kick things up a notch in your life, because if you lose that feeling of wanting to quit, then you've moved your comfort level up, okay? And once you've moved your comfort level up, you have to continuously move your intensity beyond it. Does that make sense? So remember that if there's no pressure, then there's no growth, okay? Next thing I'll say is that it builds character. Just think about what happens when your receptors are aching for a break and they're screaming to your cingulate cortex, which is called your ACC, and that's basically a frontal lobe in your brain that sends signals to your prefrontal cortex to quit and to stop doing whatever you're doing. It's the part of your brain that sends signals to stop doing hard things. Okay, but imagine all that shit happens. You're faced with all this adversity, all these bruises, all these cuts, all these walls, all of these things that are just screaming at you, telling you to stop, but you don't. Just think about what that does. Obviously, that builds receptors to keep on going forward and whatever. But imagine a man that continues to push forward between all those, compared to a man who conforms to all of those blocks and roads and bruises and cuts and traps and obstacles. Just think about the man that develops. Just think about it. Next is that it's going to turn you into a monster. All right, it builds character, yes, and on top of that, it's going to turn you into a monster. Okay, an ambitious, confident, charismatic monster who just knows who he is and what he stands for. Obviously, I'm not talking about a predatory monster. We want to avoid that at all costs. But a monster who just has this aggression about him, and he's just pushing forward through his goals, through his life, and his daily routine. That's the type of man you want to be, and that's the type of man you want to become. And the only way that you're going to be doing that is continuously doing things that make you feel like you want to quit, but you don't quit. All right, because obviously quitting is, you just don't really want to be a bitch. Okay, but simply having the ability to pursue long-term goals and learn from every wall you face is just a man to just tread carefully with. Like, trust me, I've met men like that, and I consider myself a guy like that as well. People do have a hard time arguing with me. They have a hard time bringing their points and views because they know I'm going to argue with them. They know I'm going to bring my opinion onto them, and you should adopt the same kind of behavior because you know your values, you know your beliefs, and you're not going to just let people around you spew this negativity and spew this bullshit. All right, simple as that, bro. You got to become a monster. I'm not saying become arrogant and somebody who just blabbers on about life and his opinions, but understand when it's time for you to interject. Understand when it's time for you to place your values and boundaries in strategic areas, so it doesn't allow for bullets to come your way and shoot you in your vulnerable spots. That's the kind of character I develop, and that's kind of who I'm pursuing to be right now. A man just like that who has all those walls in place to make sure that he's protected. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, make sure your vulnerabilities are clear and they're known for yourself. You don't have to show them to other people, but for yourself. All right, make sure you're not hiding from them and avoiding all this shit, but build the necessary walls, okay? But dead ass, bro, you just want to be that man. You want to be the man who builds character, all right? You don't want to be just that rich ass simp, or you don't want to be the rich 150-pound kid who got lucky with his online business. You want to be a man with substance, and you want to be a man with experience. It's simple as that, okay? Like there's just gonna be a lot of people. Like once you start pursuing that kind of life of just suffering without kind of a reason. Like you're really just suffering with no reason, essentially. Like you're willing to just suffer because you know the results of suffering. People are going to start to ask you a lot of things, right? Like simply when I told people that I was going to be moving out a few months ago, everyone was like, no, just take the easy route. Use your comfort as something to drive you, and they don't necessarily understand, okay? But it is what it is. You got to ignore that. But what people don't understand is that massive results without failure leads to a failure as a man. That's what I've come to a conclusion as. All right, you can get results without the failure, but then you're just a failure of a person. You either get results with failure, so then you're actually successful. I hope you understand what the fuck I mean by that. But the next thing around not quitting, is it gives you the ability to inspire. Okay, once you're doing things, or once you're willing or actively doing things that people could never imagine themselves doing, you now have a level of responsibility because they're going to start to hold you to a higher standard that you have to consistently meet, unless you want to be a little bitch, and you don't want to be a little bitch. But once you been on your self development journey for a while, you're going to have a lot of mini or big accomplishments that you may not consider accomplishments, including myself. Apparently, according to everybody else around me, I've had accomplishments in my life. I don't see them. Maybe that's toxic, maybe it's not, but that just means I have high standards, and other people see them as accomplishments, and therefore they're inspired by those accomplishments. And those mini accomplishments or big accomplishments down the road are going to put a lot of people into action. Are going to cause people to change a little bit of the bad habits or things they do in your life. And just having the ability to inspire is just a really, 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 really good thing, bro. Because what it does, it just makes you never want to stop. Once you know that you're kind of like, oh, my little brother's starting to clean his room. He's starting to work out. He's cooking for me. He's wanting to pursue business at such a young age. My little sister is putting her freaking closet in color-coded order because of me. Because I went in there and I told her, yo, start this. And like I just built that discipline in her over time. Knowing that you have the ability to do that is crazy. And what sucks about this is the same reason why a lot of men kill themselves nowadays. It's because just as a man yourself, the main purpose as a man is knowing that when you're dead, there's going to be something left behind. And when you have the feeling that when you die and there's nothing left behind, you just kind of don't see the purpose of life anymore. And even if you have no ability to inspire, you're just kind of living off through life, and people aren't necessarily inspired by your actions, or they don't really see you as a figure to look up to or a figure to emulate. You feel like you have no purpose, and therefore there's no reason to live. And that's how a lot of men are feeling nowadays, and that's really sad. So chase the ability to inspire, because if you want to change if you want to change the life of your loved ones and change your life as well, it starts with your ability to just go head to head with your comfort level, head to head with your insecurities. I say this for myself too. If we want the ability to inspire people, it starts with our ability to go head to head with our comfort level. It starts with our ability to go head to head with our insecurities. It starts with our ability to chase the exit of our comforts and our vices. You need to chase that, because sometimes we're enslaved to those things, and it's best to just get the fuck out of that.